in February, I actually took all the credit notes that you all shared with us, applied them. My score jumped up 200 points within 2 weeks.
Yeah, I hear that.
Finally hit the 700 club for the first time ever in my life. And then turned around, out of celebration, applied for the Apple Card with Barclays. Actually, I take that back, with Goldman Sachs. Received it and everything, and then requested my first paper statement. I endorsed it, put everything that I needed on it, sent it to the register to the indentured trustee. I believe it's Dennis P. Coleman III is what it says on the 8K form. And after I followed up with them about a week ago, and when I called them, they basically said, yeah, we received it and everything. And I got in contact with them. I called the actual number on the 8K form. I just straight called the Office of Executive Principals and said, yeah, I sent you a registered security. I haven't heard anything back. It's not reflecting my account at all. And, the secretary was like, oh yeah, we actually received it. We sent it off to the processing facility that it needs to go to, and you should be receiving a call from them within the next week or so to basically rectify that matter. And I got a call yesterday, but I was occupied at the time, so I missed it and got a voicemail. Called her back, and she said it's getting taken care of this week. So, like I said, I'm about to completely discharge a $6,500 credit card bill. I've been able to use that to further invest into my education with, like I said, getting the stamps, sending off registered mail, other things. And I'm just excited. I'm forever grateful for the both of you.
Well, I am very happy for you, Chauncey. I want to elaborate on a particular word that you just said. So when you talked to them, you told them that you sent them a registered what?
Security.
A registered security. See, when you guys are talking with these different corporations, you have to know their terminology. People who have been with me for a minute, they know my basis is foundation. You have to have foundation, because I can't be on the call with you. Caleb can't be on the call with you. The only thing we can do is provide you with the proper, correct information. And then you are to do your own due diligence, and then you are to act accordingly. I'm very proud of you, Chauncey. As y'all hear, he got his credit score up 200 plus points. He got a car taken care of, and y'all hear him talk about this stamp. It's not a AVR, accepted for value stamp. It's not none of these paid to the bearer stamps that these people are giving you guys. It is none of that. We are actually using their terminology, their wording, which they can't refute. We're using their things in order to be able to combat. Okay. Before Caleb gets started today, of course I'm here and I'll chime in when need to. For you guys who were in my arbitration class and y'all filing these arbitration cases and don't know what you're doing, you're clogging up the arbitration system, period. The system is being clogged up because you guys are filing arbitration cases trying to use consumer law, and it's not going to work. You cannot do an arbitration case as a billing error. Now, are you able to use the consumer rights in which it is that we all have as extra? But everything is securities fraud. Everything is equity. So you have to understand equity. You can't say that the United States is responsible for my bills, because honestly, they're paying them. You just signed off saying that you will repay them too. But you do have to understand security. You do have to understand equity if you want to get the proper remedy. What T-Mobile may do, AT&T may not. But one thing they cannot defute is this wonderful stamp that came out of their books. It tells us exactly how to stamp it, the dimensions of the stamp. Y'all see he put it up. That stamp right there is the stamp that you are supposed to use. We will go over that stamp this evening. We will even tell you where to find the stamp for you to use it. And as you heard him say, he didn't send it to the CEO. He didn't send it to the CFO. He sent it to the trustee. Why did he send it to the indentured trustee? They're dealing in our trust. Everything is about trust, and the indentured trustee is for trust. The indentured trustee and the trustee, they are banks. It's going to always be a bank. They're going to have a representative over there. He did the work. No, he didn't inbox me and ask me for the AK form. He went and he found it. Sometimes they are not easy to find, but you have to still do your own due diligence. I'm very proud of you, Chauncey. And there are several others that has been with me that is getting the same type of remedy. So when y'all come to us talking about it didn't work, you didn't work. It wasn't us.
Can I just chime in one last thing, Ms. Tamika?
Absolutely.
When she actually told me, I had completely forgotten the date that I actually sent it out. And she was like, no, we received it on the 22nd of February. You know, we processed it the same day. We sent it to we forwarded to we forwarded it to the facility that handles that matter. She was like, do you actually have another one that you need to take care of? And I was in my head, I'm like, damn, she asked for the security. She didn't rebuke it or say, I don't know what you're talking about or anything like that. She knew exactly what I was talking about and said, yeah, we received it. You know, the reason why it didn't say delivered on regards to the mail is because it gets sent to a separate facility where they screen it for security to make sure nothing frivolous or, you know, anything with ill intent is getting sent to them. And she didn't deny any claim. She told me my full name, and I was just in shock. So, like I said, this remedy works. You definitely just have to do your due diligence. You know, read the indentured, the Trust Indentured Act, read the Securities Exchange Act, read the Securities Act, and once you know that terminology, they can't play this game against you anymore. But if you don't know the rules to the game, you're going to keep getting played.
That's the best way to say it. You're going to keep getting played, or you're going to get repoed, or your license is going to get cut off, or your gas is going to get cut off, you know, and then that's not on us.
He didn't just do the Apple Card for $6,500.
Oh.
He also did his phone bill.
I got another one. I reached out to AT&T. At first, I put it in a billing error, and they credited my entire account for $536. And then the legal department reached out to me and said, yes, if you need to handle this matter any further, this is who you need to contact. And now I just have a direct point of contact to take care of my AT&T bill.
And that's because he knew what he was talking about. As far as a billing error, it's on the back of every last one of your bills. It tells you that if you have an issue, it's a billing error, and it tells you where to send it. It tells you where to send it. Tonight, we're going to show you guys several different ways to be able to discharge. The stamp is the ultimate. Arbitration is the killer. Everything else is a temporary fix. It's a Band-Aid. Will it work? It has. Does it work? It do. But it also depends on the company that you are dealing with. But if you do it according to the way that the UCC is written, they can't refute that. There is a video that is on my YouTube page. I dropped it yesterday. You guys might want to go listen to it. There's a key part in that video that it says that if one or two, I guess I'm a part of the one and Caleb is the two, people are ever to understand and figure out their system, that they have enough in their arsenal to combat. So affidavits that used to work don't work any longer. Accepted for value does not work any longer. Did it work? Yes. The W-4 sandwich, that stopped working at the beginning of the year of last year when so many people begin to do it. The thing is, when so many people get to doing the same process, why y'all want templates? Your template look like her template, look like his template. They already going to know what to do with it. I tell you guys all the time, and for you guys that are new with me, template, when you break it down, it is temple, you the template. You have to create your own process using their rules. And as you see, it works. But we will show you guys the different ones before Caleb gets started. For all of you who see my YouTube video, Discharge That Shit, and I spoke about the 1099A and the 1099C. And yes, I at that time said do not use the 1099A. There was a reason for that, because it was not mastered. I'm not going to tell you guys to do anything that I would not do myself or that I know do not work at that time. When it comes to the 1099A, the 1099A can be used on all debts that are under 3 years of age. That's your current debts. That's your light bill, your gas bill, your water bill, your car note. The 1099C is to be used for debts that are over the age of 3 years and they have not tried to collect in a year. So that's basically all the stuff that's in collections that's on your credit report. Okay. We will walk you guys through how to properly do the 1099A and to do the C, because how you put your name in makes the difference. Making sure that you have the proper contact information for the person makes a difference. But don't do a 1099C and it's for your light bill. Now you're canceling out the debt when all they filed was a 1099A, and that is what you are to use. So that is one of the updates that changed from when I did that video. That video was done in, I believe, April of 2022. And y'all see how the system changed that quickly with what we can do and what we can't do, because the most solid thing that works without it ever changing is that step, as well as taking them to arbitration, as your contract says. Arbitration is equity in law. So you're using securities are equity. Hopefully you guys all know what a security is. And then you're going to back that up with the UCC laws. You'll back it up and then you'll slam dunk it with the consumer rights. But don't try to do no arbitration based off of consumer laws on its own. You're going to lose. And unfortunately, if you take them to arbitration and you lose, you cannot appeal that. At that point, you will have to go through the security exchange and the comptroller, the currency comptroller. And if you couldn't get past arbitration, you definitely not going to send them anything that's going to make them want to audit the account. Okay. So, Caleb, I'll check and see if anybody else registered since we got started so that I can let them in. But Caleb, you good to go? And I'll mute myself, baby.
Absolutely. And it's always important to understand that having a foundation and understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it is always better than just doing it. So write this down if you got your pen. UCC 3-603, right? We've been talking about the Uniform Commercial Code because that's international law of commerce. That applies not just here, but all over the world. And you have to understand UCC 3-603 is tender of payment. If tender of payment of an obligation to pay an instrument is made to a person entitled to enforce the instrument and the tender is refused, there is discharge to the extent of the amount of the tender of the obligation of an endorser or accommodation party having a right of recourse with respect to the obligation to which the tender relates. So according to the Uniform Commercial Code, Article 3, Section 6, subsection 3 of that, if you send somebody a payment and they refuse your payment, there is discharge, right? You don't have to pay them anymore. They go into default, right? Because you, in good faith, with clean hands, sent them an instrument in order to set off a debt, discharge a debt, right? Because there's no such thing as paying a bill. You cannot pay a bill. Only the president can write a bill. You cannot pay a bill. You can discharge a debt. And the thing is, you're not going to pay a debt with another debt. You see how that works? So there's all types of problems that come along with using Federal Reserve notes, which are debt notes, which are promises to pay. You cannot use those because they are debts. How is one debt taking care of another? It don't make no sense. But the very next code, UCC 3-604, discharge by cancellation or renunciation. A person entitled to enforce an instrument with or without consideration may discharge the obligation of a party to pay the instrument by an intentional voluntary act. So if they do any of these acts, UCC 3604, this is also discharge of the payment. So surrender of the instrument to the party. So if they send it back to you, right? If they refuse your payment, it's discharge. That's one. Destruction, mutilation, or cancellation of the instrument. I mean, that's self-explanatory. Cancellation or striking out the party signature or addition of the words of the instrument indicating discharge. So cancellation, striking it out, destroying this security, basically anything that they do with your payment but process it means that you do not owe them. You see what I'm saying? So that's the first thing that I want to put in your head is that It is at the discretion of the companies what they're going to do and process these payments, right? Because it's all fraud. So to the degree to which they're going to comply is going to depend, right? Because American Express, you cannot discharge the same way with American Express as you can Capital One. I mean, you could try, but you're going to run into issues, right? Because every company is different. They're all operating differently. But if you understand that at the end of the day, no matter what you do, if you send a payment and they refuse, they send it back, destroy it, you have discharge, you are building a case for non-compliance, right? We hope, and it's always the hope that you're going to be able to get your remedy the first time. And if you have a solid foundation and you study and you know the language, then you'll have an easier time doing that. But if not, you are building a case for non-compliance, and having a solid understanding of why and what exactly it means is going to be the best thing you can do. So now we're going to move on, right? Because the first thing I want to talk about is the stamp method, right? Stamping your bills, the remittance that you get every month. 31 CFR.
Hold on 1 second, nephew. I couldn't unmute myself. So he made a reference between Capital One and American Express. I'm not sure if she's in here, but the stamp that Chauncey said he used has worked on American Express. Okay, they are canceling out her debt every single month. But I will tell you that if it is Capital One, I don't care what you stamp and I don't care what you say. Capital One is going to send you a letter saying that you violated one of their terms and they are going to close your account. Capital One is going to close your account. You send them an affidavit, you send them a remittance, you send them anything, they're going to close it. So when it comes to Capital One does have an arbitration agreement within their terms and conditions. It is in the very first documents in which it is that they gave you, which probably no one has, but it is definitely on their website. As long as you can prove you have an account with them, that you're up under that arbitration clause, the only way you're going to be Capital One, whether it's a credit card, whether it's a finance with a card with Capital One, you are going to have to take them to arbitration. But American Express is a little bit different. Now we know that Apple is the same way, but their indentured trustee is Goldman Sachs. Okay, so like you said, depending on the company, it will depend on what they decide to do with it. And I'm telling y'all now, I've said it a million times, Capital One is going to shut you down, take them straight to arbitration. The good thing about taking them straight to arbitration, there will be no adverse action done. It actually puts your bill in a do not pay, do not collect status immediately. Even if you were to try to pay them, they will deny your payment, okay? Your card will stay on. That open-ended credit that everybody wants, based off of what the law says, the only way you're going to get that, I don't care what credit card company it is, you're going to have to do it through arbitration, because they're going to make you sign an NDA so that you can't run back and tell the next person that this is what it is that you're supposed to do. Okay. I'll put the step up for you while you go through that part, Caleb.
Absolutely.
Right.
And in regards to, hold on, let me think here, because I wanted to piggyback off of what you just said. It's okay, it'll come back to me. So 31 CFR 328.5 and 328.6, forms of endorsement. This is from Title 31, which is money and finance. Under the regulations relating to money and finance, under the Fiscal Service Department of the Treasury, and the specific subsection 328 is restrictive endorsements of U.S. bearer securities, right? We are using their words. Federal law is the standard, right? So this is what has been signed into the Federal Register by the president for how you are supposed to properly endorse your security. And what it tells you on 328.6 is this: the endorsement must be imprinted on the left-hand portion of the face of each security, with the first line parallel to the left edge of the security, and in such a manner as to be clearly legible and in such a position that it will not obscure the serial number. So basically, when you're taking a look at your statement, generally on the top left side, you're going to see somewhere on that left edge, right, anywhere parallel to the left edge, you're going to see a spot that's going to be about the perfect size for this stamp, which is 4.5 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. And you're going to want to stamp it on there, right? So that's that's where it tells you that that is where it's supposed to go on the face of it, not the actual coupon on the bottom, but the actual bond on top, because that's where you're stamping, right? Now, the dimensions of the endorsement should be, and this is what everyone needs to pay attention to, approximately 4.5 inches in width and 1.5 inches in height. So when it says approximately, that means it can be a little less, a little more. It doesn't have to be exactly that. And a lot of times you'll actually find, if you're trying to have a stamp made like through Office Depot or something like that, or even trying to get one made on Amazon, that they won't have 4 inches. They'll have like 3 inches and 15/16 by 2, right? So it's like, that's approximately the same thing as that. So when you are making the stamp, that's the dimensions that it's going to want to be. Now, it tells you, go ahead.
Before you finish that. So you see how we said that you take the top portion of the bill. Do anybody got a bill in front of them? Anybody that has the entire bill? If you look at the bottom where it says tear off and return with your payment, it'll make you think it's talking about the bottom. How many of you guys missed the arrow that pointed up? That's how they play with us. So you will think, because the perforated part is at the bottom, it says that at the very bottom, tear off and return with your payment, you'll think that they're talking about the bottom portion. So let's explain the difference in the bill. Everybody, and even other people I've seen teaching this, they tell you to tear off the bottom and write all these darn codes on there. And no, the bottom part is a dividend check. Okay, that is a statement. Nothing on there says that it is a bill at all. It says a statement. Okay, the top part is the bond. The top portion is what is worth the value, which is why you stamp it at the very top, the left-hand side of the document. The bottom stub that they gave you is nothing but telling you how much interest they gained from that account that ran through the TDA to turn it into a security. All coupons are matured every 4 weeks. How often do you guys get that statement in the mail? Every 4 weeks, right? So when you do this properly, that bottom number that everyone say is a credit, because it is, due to the Electronic Funds Transfer Act, is actually supposed to be transferred into the principal account, which is your account. They are to take the top portion that you stamp, they send it to the federal government through the TDA to turn it into a security, and their payment comes from them now selling that security. Okay, don't leave the bottom portion on there. You can, but make sure that the top portion is there and that you put the stamp on the left-hand side. We gave this information out to a class earlier this year, or it was last year. With this, we did have a particular company that was making the stamp for us, and then they were mandated, is the word that they gave me, that they were no longer able to make that stamp any longer. Somebody mandated them. We know who mandated them not to make the stamp. Okay, but we do have another company, and we figured out another way where you guys will be able to have access to this stamp, because everything is done electronically anyway, where you guys will have access to the stamp to be able to utilize it on your bill. If your bill is on, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, like a few days after I had purchased the stamp, you couldn't get it anymore. Like the model that I got, it was scrubbed off the internet. So I just wanted to add that in, because they don't, like, I'm telling you, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, because that's the proper way. And as you guys see it, if you were to go to 328.5, they actually put these words in a blue box. But and they did that using the word Federal Reserve Bank, because they know that people were not going to read no further. They were only going to use what was in the blue box, when you actually had to make sure, because we don't have access to the Federal Reserve Bank. Only the security transfer agents, our banks, have that access. So we are to put the United States Treasury. You see it said in lieu of the words Federal Reserve Bank, yours will say United States Treasury, physical agent of the United States, where it has the bank name in that slot, you don't have to put the bank's name there. The bank will do that. The only thing you are to do is to stamp it and to send it to the correct address. It does not go to the P.O. box. American Express says on the back of their bill, other instruments send to this address. So it's going to take you guys to read a little bit, but when I say that we tell you guys that they tell us everything, you're just not reading or you're not understanding what it is that you're reading. But it does not go to a P.O. box. But you can never go wrong with sending it to the indentured trustee or the trustee. And why? Is because their signature is on the security exchange document.